Welcome back, everybody.
It's hump day.
It is hump day. Welcome back to the Below Average Joe's UFC podcast, episode number 8.
And our third special episode.
And this one's a little extra special.
It hits home, right?
It does.
You know?
We're going to take you guys back, put you on the reading rug. Story time. We're going back to September 10th, 2016. UFC 203 at Quicken Loans Arena in Cleveland, Ohio.
Almost 4 years ago.
To start our first year as college undergrads.
This is true.
We had literally been in college for less
than three weeks.
Yeah.
And we're off to Cleveland.
Yeah, so wild stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, basically the way this is gonna work, we're just gonna tell you guys the entire story of us going to this event. The lead up to it, the actual day itself, and really some stuff even after. So
Yeah.
But I guess first off, Dom, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good. We're coming off, our 2 weeks into the podcast. This is week 3 now.
Yep.
It's crazy. We're churning out these episodes.
Yeah.
I just hope that people are enjoying them,
Same.
How are you? I guess I never really asked you that.
Yeah,
How I feel about it.
I mean, you don't, and it's okay.
I care. I care, and the listeners care. How are you, Noah?
Do you want me to be honest?
Oh.
I'm good.
Okay.
But
Oh.
no, I'm good.
Okay.
Just really excited to talk about
Yeah.
UFC 203.
This is special.
Agreed.
Like, I know it's in the special episode category, but if we were to make a subcategory of the special episodes and, close to home, for the heart,
Yeah.
this one's
This
going
episode's for the boys.
Yeah.
For us.
Yeah,
We're the boys.
Should we give a shout out to the boys that were with
give
us?
a shout out.
Shout out Nick Moore, shout out Tommy Pence, our 2 boys from back home. They attended UFC 203 with us as well in Cleveland. Made the trip up to college to spend the night with us.
Yeah.
Then drove to Cleveland the next day. Then they drove all the way back home. So shout out to those boys. Hope you are listening. And we hope that we do this justice.
Yeah,
and that you guys remember it as much as we do.
So I'm going to rewind to even before September 2016.
Let's do it.
As I have mentioned in our pilot episode, my first live event I had ever watched was UFC 199 back, that would have been, June?
I think June, yeah.
Yeah, and even before that, you had invited me over to watch UFC 197. I don't know if you remember that.
That would have been Jones and Ovent St. Preux.
Yeah, you invited me to that card. I couldn't come, but then you invited me to 199, so I come over, and I instantly fell in love with it. And
the rest is history.
Yeah, and you were telling me when I was sitting there in your house, you're like, yo, the heavyweight champ, or I think, yeah, because he won it the month before.
He won in May, yeah.
And you were like, the heavyweight champ is from Ohio. And they're like, and I think they had already confirmed his title defense was going to be in Cleveland against Overeem. So you were like, dude, it's going to be so awesome. You were kind of mentioning about going, but nothing too concrete.
Yeah.
And for me, it's my first live event. So I'm still watching, seeing how I enjoy it, you know. But leave your house, instantly fall in love with it. UFC 200, which was a big milestone, was the next month.
Yep.
So obviously I'm getting real into the announcements, oh my gosh, what's going to happen? That card ends up being a bit of a dud. But we did see the video at 199, Brock Lesnar's back and stuff like that. That video was awesome.
Yeah.
I don't care what anybody says. But yeah, basically after that, probably less than a month later, you actually...
They went on sale and...
You text me and the boys.
Yeah,
and
the
said,
group chat was created.
Yeah. And you said, fellas,
this is it.
We're going.
Yeah. Think about it. We're from Ohio, right?
Right.
Cool state, whatever. But, it's UFC fights. Ohio has the Bengals, the Indians, the Reds. But, UFC fights, they don't just come to Ohio on a yearly basis.
This was only the third pay-per-view that was ever held in Ohio.
Yeah, ever.
Ever.
And the first one in Cleveland. I think.
Is that true?
I think the other two were Columbus and Cincinnati. Or
Oh,
maybe
you
both
said the
Columbus.
first one. I thought you said this was the. I thought you said the first one of the three was in.
No. This is the first time of.
Yeah,
out
I think
of
the
three.
first one was in Cincinnati because that was Rich Franklin.
Yeah.
Who was also from Ohio.
Shout out Rich Franklin.
My
Used to be
dad-
the
my
best
dad-
in the world.
When my dad was a bartender, he met Rich Franklin, and didn't really. They were like, oh, he's a really cool, good fighter. That's cool.
Yeah. No, he was the best in the world.
He was the best in the world, and my dad was just serving him drinks. Like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
But he gets this rematch fight with Anderson Silva.
Yeah, well, we know how that goes.
Went very similar to the first, but shout out Rich Franklin.
Shout out.
So it's a big deal
having
these fights in Ohio. And you basically were sending us like the prices and where the seats would be, and I was pretty much in. I was like, hell yeah, like let's do it.
Yeah, if you're listening, so we wanted to give you guys a perspective at least of like the feel of a live event. So the picture that you're seeing on the left side of the screen with the welcome to the land filter, that is where we were sitting that evening for the fights, just to put it into perspective.
And they weren't even that expensive.
No.
I feel like because you bought them off of Ticketmaster, I believe. We bought them off of Ticketmaster.
It was one of those ticket websites.
And, they typically have pretty high fees when you buy them online.
Yeah.
So I think total was around like $80 or something, $90, something like that. But if you look at that picture, like it was great. I don't know if it does it justice, but
it
was great seating for a fight. Considering we were literally like the front row of
front row of that section
of the middle section.
Yeah.
So it was great seats and
sold out crowd.
Yeah, and
20,000 people.
So then we buy our tickets, and me and you were at college.
Yeah, that probably happened in the beginning of August before we moved in.
It was probably July actually.
Yeah, end of July, early August we bought them. So then the whole build up. We have a whole month and a half.
So we're getting very excited to go. I didn't have a car at the time, so I was like, "Hey Dom, like, you gonna pull the whip out for us?" But our two buddies do not go to BGSU.
Yeah, so we live almost 3 hours away from home.
Right.
And then we're 2 hours away from Cleveland from where we live.
Right.
So our buddies had to drive all the way to us.
So that we could all ride together.
The night before, so Friday night.
Yeah.
They stayed the night in our freaking little tiny dorm.
Oh, and I have to. I gotta give some details about that.
Oh, it was. So Nick Moore to this day says it was one of the worst nights of his life. To this day.
So we were our freshman year. We were in a dorm called Kreischer.
Very old.
Kreischer Darrow. And
no AC.
A very old dorm, no AC.
It was August.
It was
September, but we moved in August. You get the point.
It hot.
Yeah, it wasn't cold.
It was a little hot.
Yeah.
And when I say hot, I mean there was no air. It was suffocating.
Yeah, we had fans and it did not help.
It didn't help.
Not at all.
Not at all.
We at all times we had to have our window open with the fan at the window so we were getting more air.
And that's a good point.
Yeah.
Always having that window open, right?
Yeah.
So hold on.
Yeah.
So they come up the night before. We signed them in and everything. We're all just chilling.
Yep.
I think we were playing some UFC 3 on our
Probably.
PlayStation.
Yeah, we did.
I actually was coming down with a bit of a cold going in. So I was like a bit stuffed up and everything. And what's funny is this is kind of embarrassing to admit now, but for my whole first semester of college, I just didn't sleep on a bed.
They're not mishearing you. You heard that right.
Look, if you guys know how dorms, at least at BG, are set up, it's like the top. It's the top of like a bunk bed, basically.
Yeah.
And
those are difficult to get on.
And you can have them de-lofted, right?
Yeah, true.
Yeah, de-lofted.
But then it takes away all your space.
Is lofted.
Yeah, you would de-loft it.
Yeah, de-lofted. So I could have done that, but
then we have no room.
But then I had a bunch of shit underneath
we
the
had
bed,
like the couch
TV,
and TVs,
mini fridge, stuff like that. So I said, "Fuck it, I'm gonna sleep on this hard ass floor." And you live and you learn.
It was college, right?
Yeah, you grow up over time.
Freshman
right?
year.
Yeah.
First semester.
Yeah, I mean my back is probably never gonna be the same.
Yeah, it's broke.
But my back broke.
Yeah.
But that's okay. So I let Nick sleep on my bed.
Yep.
And then I sleep on the floor per usual.
Yep, and then Tommy slept under me, so on my floor. And do you remember what happened to Tommy that night?
Well, okay, hold on.
What an eventful week.
Hold on. So I wake up, right, because I'm slightly under the weather.
Yep.
And I wake up because I can't breathe.
It's 100 degrees inside.
Up, and I'm like, fuck, man. I got to get out of this room for a second. So I go to get up, and I accidentally kick this tote that I had my box fan sitting on.
Yeah.
and that fan proceeds to fall
on top of Tommy.
Straight on his face. And
He's
then,
dead asleep.
And then all of a sudden, he like wakes up immediately. He goes, "What the fuck?" And I just pretended like I was still asleep. I was like, "No." I was like, "Oh shit!" I
jumped up in my bed up top.
Dude,
Nick Moore's like, "What?"
That was like, that was the shot heard around the whole floor.
It was so loud.
The whole floor heard
and
that.
It fell
shot.
on his face.
Yeah. A fan that was going full blast. So.
And meanwhile, Nick can't fall asleep in your bed because it's so hot. He's like, night, "Dude, guys, I'm gonna die."
That whole night, I swear, that whole night, I would hear Nick just we'd all be asleep, and all of a sudden I just sometimes through the night I just hear, "God damn, I can't fucking sleep in this bed." He's like, "It's too fucking hot in here."
He took off his shirt, his shorts.
Yeah, and he threw them down.
Naked.
He threw them from the top, so I'd be laying there, and all of a sudden I just see fucking shorts laying next to me. Then a shirt lands next to me.
Oh, dude.
And then all of a sudden it's I'm like, wait a minute. I'm like, this motherfucker about to start getting naked up in my bed. I was like, I mean, I don't sleep up there, but damn.
He's to this day, he's even he said he's sweat off 5 pounds of sweat that night trying to sleep.
That was ridiculous.
Oh, man.
Not the best start, right?
Yeah, and that's just the night
so we wake up a little grumpy.
Yeah, Saturday morning.
Tommy's face is a little busted.
Nick's naked.
I don't know if to this day he knows that I was the one that caused it.
Well,
but
do you want to issue a formal apology?
Yeah, I mean, Tommy, I'm very sorry. But also, it was pretty fucking funny. But he's a little busted up. I'm still not feeling great. Nick's probably slept less than 2 hours.
Yeah.
You're probably the most well rested of everybody.
Yeah. Thank goodness, I'm the driver.
And I wake up in a sweaty heap, so I'm like, well, I guess I got to shower before I leave. So we ended up leaving actually a little bit later than we wanted to.
Yeah. But we planned that day, to the T.
Yeah.
We knew we were getting in Cleveland
We knew we were getting there really early, but we still were wanting to leave at a certain time.
Yeah, and we did.
But we all ended up showering, I think, before we left because we were so fucking sweaty.
Yeah.
So we're almost scrambling to leave just because we're not gonna get there.
We're not gonna get to meet so and so.
So we just run out the fucking dorm, basically hop in Dom's car, and we're heading to Cleveland. We probably get about 20 minutes away or so.
Yeah.
And I'll let you take that one.
Well, if you don't remember what we already mentioned, we like to keep our window open with the fan in front of it, so we got a lot of airflow. Well, it started to get a little cloudy as we departed on our trip to Cleveland, and it starts pouring down rain. Specifically in BG, it wasn't too bad as we got further and further away and closer to Cleveland. But nevertheless, it was storming in where we go to college, right? And our window to our dorm was open.
Yes.
Now, keep in mind that in our dorm, we've got wires, PlayStations,
well, both
TVs.
of our TVs and PlayStations were against the wall.
Yes.
Where that
so the backs where all the wires
especially
plug in.
yours.
Yeah. So the backs of these devices that, where you plug everything in.
Completely exposed
to the elements. So, if I remember correctly, I look at Noah and I said, "Our window's open."
Yes. So.
And you're like, "Oh."
I'm like,
Yeah, that started the trend probably.
We
immediately start scrambling.
So we come up with the plan.
It's too late to turn back.
To contact our RA.
Yes.
We're like, well, he can just go in, right?
Yeah, he can unlock the door, go close the window.
So, our RA didn't really know him very well. Quiet guy.
Yeah.
Very awkward. Shout out to him. I'm not gonna say his name.
Yeah.
But I believe I texted him. And told him the story and hey, can you go close it?
Yeah.
And he says, "No can do." I'm like, the fuck you mean no can do? Apparently you guys can come in our room. What do you mean now you just can't?
Yeah.
And
we're giving him permission to go in.
I'm texting him. I'm like, permission granted.
Go in and close the window.
And he's like, sorry, we can't just go in unless we have a reason.
Yeah.
Because if I went in there and you guys came back and something was missing, it could be pushed that I was the one that took it.
Right.
So we're like, well, that's stupid.
Yeah.
So then I call the front desk at Kreischer, mind you, I later would end up working for Res Life.
Yeah.
So I kind of gained a better understanding of how it works. But at this time, no idea how it works.
You're right.
I thought the only people that worked at the front desk were RAs.
This is like, the more and more we discuss this, the more like freshman story I've ever heard.
Yeah, it really is in a way. Like this part especially.
Yeah.
But I called the front desk, asked them the same question. They say, no can do.
Well, Siri said can do.
But no can do.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, this has been really helpful. Thank you. Like, so basically our windows just left.
Well, there was one other alternative. Shout out Dalton, if you're listening. We were texting him to like give him permission to go inside.
Right.
But like,
because he lived in Kreischer, but in one of the other
yeah,
lanes.
and I don't know how we planned on that working because he didn't have our keys.
Yeah, we told him like
we
tell
gave
our
him the
RA,
text,
and we're like, go
yeah.
to the front desk. But basically, it all ended up
so
just not
three
working.
options: 1, 2, 3, strike out.
Yeah.
Windows open for the rest of the day, the rest of the night.
But we're not turning around.
We're not turning around. It's pouring down rain.
Sorry.
Yeah.
We'll just get new TVs. Shit, that comes later.
Yeah. UFC now. UFC now.
So the rest of the drive is pretty uneventful, I would say.
Yeah.
But
the whole time I'm thinking in the back of my head, oh, PlayStation's ruined, TV's ruined,
yeah,
carpet's ruined,
being a bit dramatic.
the dorm's gonna catch on fire.
Yeah.
You know.
All the normal things you think of.
Yeah.
We get to Cleveland, mind you, probably 3 hours before the first fight starts.
Yeah, it's beautiful there, by the way. No rain inside.
Beautiful. Because I believe
or at least at
the
first.
prelims probably started at 6 or 7, and we got there at about 3.
Yeah, we got there.
So we scrambled to get there 3 hours early.
Yes.
So it's like, well,
what do we do?
I believe we got food on our way.
Yeah.
From like McDonald's.
I
or
think
something.
so.
So we weren't gonna go sit in and get food.
We found that parking garage.
Yes.
And it was outrageous. We all split parking.
It was
like on the 6th floor of some parking garage.
It was so expensive.
Downtown Cleveland.
Yeah.
We're walking around. We get to the Q, Quicken Loans. Now it's like Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse, but at the time, Quicken Loans Arena. We're walking around the arena. They got the posters up. They had the big LeBron poster.
Yeah, and it's right.
You know.
I didn't realize how close the Cleveland stadiums are, at least, because Quicken Loans at
right next to Progressive
Field. That's where the Cavs
Field.
played, which is right next to. I was gonna say Jacobs, but that's not what it's called anymore. Progressive Field.
Where the Cleveland Indians play.
So, literally like right next to each other.
Yep.
So we're walking around, and all of a sudden we like kind of notice that there's something going on. It's about to start, called UFC Fan Fest.
Yeah.
Or no, Fan Expo.
Yeah, and there's like, so to like put it into perspective, you turn around this corner of the basketball arena, Quicken Loans, and there's like this area of space right between the exit door to the Quicken Loans and the entrance to the baseball field. And it's just like this huge patio area with a big, just party deck, really, with a bunch of room, right? So we turn the corner, and there's hundreds of people, and we're like, what's going on over here?
Yeah.
They have the tent set up to buy merchandise, posters.
Yeah. So me and you,
all
at
that fun
least,
stuff.
I know me and you both bought a poster.
Yep.
Big poster for the event, which
It's
you guys,
up here on the wall right next to
in the
us.
thumbnail as well.
Yep.
So I believe I bought a program as well.
Yeah, I got a UFC Cleveland shirt.
Right.
I don't know if Nick and Tommy, I'm sure I feel like everybody bought something.
Yeah, I don't know what they got, if they got anything, no, but that's what we got, I remember. And so we're like, we're all about
We're
it.
on a high right now.
So then we see that, and we hear that, it's a fan expo.
Yeah.
And again, I'm new to the sport. Now I know that they do that shit at most of their
This is
pay-per-views.
all 4 of our first time going to a live UFC fight.
And for really all of us except you, we were all pretty casual.
Yeah.
I mean, we were really into going.
Yeah.
And me specifically, I can say, was really into it at this point, but I'm still very casual. I don't know most of the fighters. I don't know a lot about it, but I love it. You know what I mean? So you're the most well-rounded person of all of us when it comes to being knowledgeable. But even you, I don't think, knew about this fan.
No, it really wasn't promoted that much. Or if it was, we just were not aware.
Yeah, and which is surprising considering how much we were looking into about it beforehand. But we're kind of just hanging out, just like looking around. Monster Energy is there giving out free cans of their new flavored drink, which
Yeah,
is now
we racked up a
it's
bunch of
the
that.
blue Monster Energy,
Yeah.
which is now very popular. So we're like just kind of hanging out, and we see Cowboy Cerrone.
Yeah, we see we see these lines starting to
Yeah,
form,
right.
and we're like, we're mingling. We're asking all these people like, what's going on?
Yeah, we actually just we see that there's a line, and we're like, well, we're just gonna get in line. We don't know what it's for.
Yeah. So fun fact, at the Cleveland event, UFC 203, us four were the first 4 people at that event to meet Cowboy Cerrone.
I forgot that we were the first.
We were the
4.
first. Do you remember how nervous I was?
Yeah.
Because you guys made me go first.
Yeah, I made you go
I
first.
was so nervous, shaking,
Yeah,
didn't know what to do.
and I barely knew who Cowboy Cerrone was at the
Yeah.
time. And now look at him. He just headlined.
Most wins UFC history.
Just headlined a pay-per-view.
Just headlined with Conor McGregor, second most fights in UFC history, most finishes. Blah, 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 blah. List goes on.
Legend.
And on. Legend of the UFC.
And I was just like, how's it going, Donald?
Yeah, there's like 500 people out here, and we're the first people to meet Cowboy.
Yeah. So we all get our picture with him.
We shake his hand.
He
He signs
signs-
those pictures.
Yeah, he had these pictures made up of him, and he was signing all of them, like
Yep.
small things. So we get that, and we're like, damn, like is this what this like shit is?
Yeah.
Well, then we see a guy named Cody Garbrandt.
Who at that time was not the star we
So,
know him as today.
I actually did know who Cody Garbrandt was because me and you had went to B-Dubs the month before to watch the Conor versus Nate Diaz,
Yep.
the second fight that they had, and Cody was on the main card, and he had that awesome knockout against some Asian fighter. I
Yeah,
don't remember his name.
I'm blanking.
But just destroyed him.
Yeah,
basically.
starched him.
And
Little did we know that was his last fight.
4 months later, after meeting him, he was the bantamweight champion of the world and one of the best
One of
title
the best
challenging
yes,
performances I've ever seen in
ever
my life.
against Dominic Cruz, the best bantamweight ever.
So
So 4 months before that, we met.
we
freaking
get in
Cody.
line to meet him.
We're all bigger than him, obviously.
Yeah, he's
He's a bantamweight.
5'5",
He's
5'6".
yeah, he's not very tall.
135 pounds on fight night.
Yeah,
Um,
nicest guy.
I'm 6'4",
Yeah,
about 350 pounds.
yeah.
So I meet him, and I'm just like,
You want to fight?
in my head, I'm just like, this is awkward. I'm
Well,
like-
you're probably like, this guy's this small, but he could beat my ass.
I'm thinking if I fuck up here, he's gonna make a point to beat my ass. Like he has to know. Like he sees these big ass guys walk up, tall ass dudes, whatever, strong ass guys, whatever they are, walk up. And you know he has to be thinking. I'm sure this guy's like looking at me like, oh wow, look how tiny you are. I put you in my pocket.
Yeah.
And he's like, if this dude just says one thing,
One
I'm
shot.
gonna put him on notice.
Takes one shot.
So I'm like really nervous to meet him because I'm like, this little dude's gonna fuck my world up if I like accidentally step on his foot or something. So I get a very awkward picture with him because I'm very nervous.
Nicest guy.
Nicest guy,
answering
though.
our questions.
Yeah, like he was just like we told him we were from Ohio.
Yep.
And he was just like, oh, that's so awesome and stuff. I mean,
He was doing signatures too, I think, but we only got pictures with him.
Yeah, and,
some of them you could
he
only
was
do
at a
certain
booth,
things.
He was at a booth with like Harley Davidson.
Yeah,
He had
yeah,
motorcycles in the background.
Yeah.
So, really nice guy though. Really glad we met him.
Especially like 4 months later, he's literally a superstar.
Yes.
He's a star of the UFC
Yeah,
at that
and
point.
now to this day he still is.
Yes,
I mean
a
they
huge
just
draw.
he decided to go to he's as of now going to flyweight to challenge Davison Figueiredo
Yeah.
in a move where he's never fought at flyweight and he's being given a title shot.
Shout out Cody, man.
Yeah.
If you're
great
listening,
guy.
hey, just not to toot my own horn, when I posted the pictures that night of meeting everybody, he did like my picture.
Oh, he
and
did,
like to this
yeah.
day, that's one of my best accomplishments on
Yeah.
Instagram. Shout out Cody No Love.
Yeah, Cody the man.
Great guy.
So then we go from him to meeting, I want to
UFC
say
Hall of Famer. Or was it
No, we went to Matt Brown.
Matt Brown next? Okay.
So meet Matt Brown, also
Again.
a more of a reserved kind of guy.
Yeah.
But
Answering
very
questions.
nice. Yeah, he took pictures. Very nice guy. Just
Yep.
looked like he was just
Another
chilling.
Ohio guy.
Yeah, another
He's
Ohio
from
guy.
Ohio.
And then from there we go to meet Forrest Griffin, the
UFC Hall of Famer. Forrest Griffin, former light heavyweight
And
champion.
I believe he either signed my poster or my program. I don't remember because I had them both kind of locked up for a while.
He was like a big dude in person.
He was big in
Yeah.
person, and
Like, you see him on
definitely
TV and
the
you don't
most.
really,
he was
like-
the most interactive. I would
Yeah.
say. Like,
He's just a funny guy.
Like, I walked up to him and he like pretended like he was scared and
Yeah.
stuff, and I was just like, "Don't." Do
And that's
that.
so forced.
In my head, I'm like, "Don't do that." I'm like, "I don't want this."
Yeah.
I'm like, "I don't want those hands." So please stop pretending like you're actually scared of me.
Yeah.
Because you would just end my life.
Yeah.
But the
Like, if you know Forrest Griffin, like, you see the commercials he's in, he's just a goofball.
right.
That's what he was like to meet in person.
Yeah, and great guy.
Yeah.
Gave us all the time in the world, basically. Didn't have a lot of people on his line either. I remember
Yeah,
that.
I feel like that was the cool thing too, though. Like, all the fighters there, you weren't like in a hurry.
No.
You could ask some questions.
There wasn't a ton of people there for
Get
that
your
event.
pictures,
you
yeah.
know? And then we get in line.
There was one more fighter
And
left.
this was probably the longest line we had at that event. Anthony Showtime Pettis, who is the former.
You could probably
lightweight-
argue at that point he was like the biggest star there out of those
Probably.
five.
He was the former lightweight champion.
Yeah.
Well, Forrest Griffin was the biggest star there, I would say.
But like as a current fighter, I guess.
As a current fighter,
4
yes,
years ago, I feel like he
sure,
was-
for sure. And it was definitely the longest line. So
Yeah,
we get
it
in there,
was.
and I was most excited to meet Showtime Pettis just because he was the one I knew the most about. Well, really, it was him and Forrest Griffin. Those
Yeah.
are the two I was the most excited to meet, which is funny looking like now.
Yeah.
Cowboy Cerrone, Cody Garbrandt,
Exactly.
Matt Brown, love those guys.
Yeah.
But we're in line, and I'm like getting real excited. I'm like, what should I say and stuff. And all of a sudden,
It starts getting pretty windy.
One raindrop hits
Yeah.
me.
It gets real windy. The
Then-
sun goes away.
then-
We're like, wait a second.
Then a second raindrop hits me.
Hmm.
And I'm still just like, yeah, I can't wait to ask him this. And then all of a sudden, one hits me on the nose.
Right on the nose.
And I was like,
Uh-oh.
you're fucking kidding me. And all of a sudden, I see the booth start
Shutting down.
And we're like, no way.
And then I think there's like some sort of announcement on like a speaker
Yeah.
or something. There's a storm coming in. We're going to have to shut down the Fan Expo. Please go to like the closest gate and prepare to enter the arena or whatever.
Yeah, so then
We're like, oh, man.
So we probably have like an hour and a half before I think it was like an hour before we were even allowed into
Yeah, so we're just chilling.
the arena. So we're just waiting in line.
We're like underneath the awning, so we're watching this. Like the setup got destroyed.
Yeah.
Like stuff's blowing everywhere. It's
Yeah.
torrential downpouring.
Yeah.
And we're just like, oh, we didn't get to meet Anthony.
Yeah.
So we're all just chilling.
Yeah. So
Like 1,000 people
yeah,
just
it felt like forever too.
Yeah.
And finally we're allowed in, find our seats, and we're like, damn.
we
Like,
got
what are
that's
these
where this
seats?
picture, this is like right when we got to our seats, so you
Yeah.
see how empty the arena was at this point.
Yeah.
And we're walking around getting a feel for it, taking
Yeah.
pictures, the music's playing.
I bought some nachos.
Yeah,
I'm
we're
just
getting
like,
some
hell
snacks.
yeah, bro.
They've got promo videos, all kinds of
Yeah,
stuff.
it was awesome. And then like you could see like Joe Rogan and Mike Goldberg coming
We're
out.
geeking out, like,
Yeah,
oh, dude,
like,
there's
we're like, wait, there's a is that Dana down there?
Yeah,
Like stuff
yeah.
like that. Like we're just like, holy shit. And then the fights start, and I must say that
so the fight pass prelims.
Yeah, so the fight pass prelim actually had Yancy Medeiros on it. Yancy Medeiros, who's been
Shout
he's
out.
a vet. He's a vet.
Yeah,
He's-
Max Bless, training partner.
Yeah,
For Max Holloway.
And, he defeated Sean Spencer in the very first fight. I will say, I mentioned that overall as a main card, the fights were like overall as fights they were average, I would say, as
Yeah.
a whole.
Yeah.
The main event was great. It had its moments, but
Mhm.
overall, like it was a pretty for a pay-per-view. Like we would have been very happy that Stipe won, but
Yeah.
we would have ultimately been like, yeah, it was okay. But those prelims were great. I
Yeah.
thought.
We watched every single fight.
Yeah, so Yancy Medeiros had a great fight with Sean Spencer. A fight he dominated, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
And then you get into the actual prelims, and this is a guy that always stuck out to me from that event, and I'm glad to see he's now at this time in August of 2020 when we're recording. Drew Dober was
Yeah.
the opening fight of the prelims.
Wow, he was there.
And he beat Jason Gonzalez in the first round about a minute and 45 seconds in.
I forgot about
And
that.
I remember like taking away, I was like, man, I really like that Drew Dober guy. Like he had a really cool post-fight interview. I'm like, I like that guy.
Yeah.
And I'm glad to see now he's cracking top 15.
Yeah.
I've been trying to keep up with him ever since. I like really like that guy, so that was a big takeaway for me.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have Nick Lentz beating Michael McBride.
That
Nick
was
Lentz,
a fun fight, if I remember correctly.
yeah.
That fight was crazy.
Yeah. Nick Lentz gets the TKO finish in the second round.
Yep.
Again, these prelims were great, man, because then you got Brad Tavares was next.
Dude, I don't even remember that. We got to see Brad Tavares.
Who's top 10 guy
Holy
at middleweight.
crap.
And he beats Caio.
Uh-oh. Come on, you're still 10 out of 10.
Caio Magalhães.
Sounding good to me.
By decision, split decision even. A guy who I've never heard of.
Yeah, man.
Even though I was there.
Tavares is that dude in the middleweight division that just fights everybody,
Yeah.
I feel like.
So, like, that was a great fight. And then even the headliner of the prelims was Betch Correa facing Jessica Ai,
Yep.
another Cleveland product.
Yeah, Jessica was a big fan favorite there. That's when I wanted to point this out, too. If you guys like have watched live events on TV and you start with the early prelims and watch on, you'll notice that the arena is not full until the main card starts. That is true. Like, there weren't that many people for the early fights, and then the main prelims started, and, you know...
By the time Betch
fight by
Correa...
fight, they
by
come in.
the time of this fight, it was starting to get pretty full.
Yeah, and everybody knew, okay, Jessica's from Ohio, so everybody's going crazy
Well,
for
you have
her.
to think Betch Correa, I'm pretty sure this was the first fight after losing to Rousey.
It may have
been
been
the
or
second
one of
one.
the first. Yeah.
So she still had quite a bit of steam. Like, really, at this time, Betch was looked at as, like, the... I don't know if I want to say vet, but she was looked at as, like, one of the top women of the bantamweight division.
Yeah.
And she's going up against an up-and-comer, Jessica Ai, who this was kind of before her rise to become a title challenger at flyweight.
And before her real weight class.
Yeah, so she's like a prospect at the time, and this was also before she became just a box of cringe.
Yeah.
And I can't say I'm much of a fan, but at this time I was rooting for her hard.
Heck
I'm like,
yeah,
Cleveland
dude.
girl, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I thought she won that fight, but she ends up losing split decision.
Yeah, I remember that the crowd was pissed.
But it was a great fight, though.
Everybody booed and booed.
It was a great fight, and
Yeah.
Ultimately, though, she didn't win, and the crowd was booing.
I really did believe she won that. Not just being like the Ohio bias.
And I honestly thought that there would be some Ohio bias in like the judging, but there wasn't.
Yeah.
I was like, man, they really kind of stole it from her.
Yeah.
In her own state. I'm like, that's.
If you think about it now, like, that would have been a big win for her.
Yeah.
If you really think about it.
Well, you remember the weigh-ins when they had the face-offs? She shoved Betch Correa for like no reason.
That doesn't surprise me.
And I remember we were at the Sundial eating, and you were watching them, and you're like, dude, that pisses me off. You're like, you know what, fuck her. But you were still rooting for her.
Of
But you're like,
course.
dude, that's annoying. You're like, Betch hadn't done anything. But yeah, like overall, great prelims. Like, we're having a good old time, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Dom was showing me before we started recording all these videos he was taking. Some of the cringiest shit I've ever seen.
They're
in
very
my life.
cringy. We debated putting them in here at certain moments so you guys could witness it, but they're pretty cringe.
Yeah, I don't think they do it justice either.
We probably won't attach anything.
Yeah, ultimately though, it really spoke to how young we were. I mean,
Yeah.
I know it was. We were 18 at the time.
We were still like
19.
fresh out of high school.
Like,
though.
I think it was September, so I was 18.
Yeah.
Ultimately, I mean,
We were still
still
immature.
had a ways to go before.
Yeah. We're totally different. 4
Obviously,
years later.
we're not just like the most mature people now, but we you know,
4 years ago, us.
It's
is like
crazy
a different
looking back.
person.
Yeah, we've grown up quite a bit, so that was funny to watch those because I don't remember it being that
Yeah.
way. But then we get to the main card,
What a
and
night.
this is a
dude.
story I've been having in my back pocket for a while. Jessica Andrade.
I just want to say,
Yeah,
I hope that you've hyped this up so much that the story doesn't live up to it for the people.
it probably won't.
But to us,
for me, I'm
it's-
very happy to share this.
Yeah, we talk about this every time we're together.
So I want to, as you guys could probably tell, at this event, I do not have near the knowledge I do now. I love it. I'm having a good old time. But Dom is the
I
guy.
did feel like the guru that
You
night.
were the guru. You were the one informing all four of us, or the other three of us, about who's fighting, who's like, what are they about to be challenging for a title? Are they top 15? Whatever, anything about it. Like, I think you were telling me, yeah, this is Betch Correa, the woman who lost to Ronda not too long ago. Stuff like that. So going into this fight, you have Jessica Andrade against Joanne Calderwood. Two women at this time I'd never heard of.
And
Jessica,
both at their unnatural weight classes.
Yeah, strawweight, 115 pounds. Andrade would end up becoming the strawweight champion. Wow.
Was this one at 115?
Yeah.
Okay. Because I know Andrade used to be 135, so I couldn't remember.
Oh, but yeah, this was Andrade.
So 115.
Andrade's natural weight.
Yeah, this one for her, I thought it was at 135, so yeah. This was her natural.
Ultimately, Andrade would end up becoming the champion of strawweight.
Yep.
Just a couple
Few
years
years later.
And Joanne Calderwood, as of now, is a title challenger at flyweight,
Just lost
right?
to Jennifer Maia.
Yeah,
so she was ranked third.
She was intending to be the next
with
title
Valentina,
challenger before she lost that fight. So before the fight gets started, Dom is hyping up Joanne Calderwood to me. He says, this woman, and I don't even know if this is true.
Dude, it was. I wouldn't lie.
He goes, this woman has never been taken down in a fight. And he's like, I can't wait for this fight. I can't wait for you guys to see her fight. Like, she's awesome. I think she's going to put on a show. Like, she's like, yeah, she's going up against a wrestler.
Yeah.
I bet this bitch won't take her down and all this stuff. And we're like, damn, like, this Joanne Calderwood's, like, going to be, like, a stud, you know?
Yeah.
Less than a minute into the first round, she gets taken down.
Yeah. I can just, like, vividly remember all three of you looking at me. Like,
before,
just giving me that look.
Before the 3-minute mark of the first round, she'd been taken down about 3 times.
Yeah. She was getting beaten pretty handily by Jessica.
Jessica ends up getting a guillotine choke before the end of the first round.
Yeah.
Match over.
Yeah.
Calderwood got starched.
Yeah. It wasn't really competitive.
Yeah, and for Dom's everlasting shame, looking at his face after that fight, just the look of defeat. Because I know you really enjoyed being like the guru.
And I just got made look stupid.
Yeah.
I looked stupid.
A fool.
Yeah. Like I should have left.
Like after that fight, I was like, I don't think I can trust Dom's word.
Nobody listened to a word I said the rest of the night.
Yeah, not a word.
And everything was invalid.
Yeah. And ultimately, Andrade gets the big win there.
Shout out Jessica
And now
Andrade,
you look back and you go,
who's had the bigger career?
Yeah, Andrade is
champion.
Yeah, champion. So like it was and I remember coming off that fight, I legitimately believed, once the next few months go by, I became much more knowledgeable.
Yeah.
I really thought she was going to end up beating. Why am I forgetting her name now? Joanna Jędrzejczyk for the title.
Oh, Jessica, when they fought.
Yeah, I thought she was going to beat her, and she got dominated.
Yeah, that happened So, this fight was in September of 2016. Jessica, if I'm not mistaken, challenged Joanna for the title in
UFC
May of 2017.
It was 2011 because
it was in
2017.
It was in Dallas because Stipe defended against
Junior Dos Santos.
JDS.
Yeah.
So this might have. I think Jessica probably had one other fight, I would assume, and then got the title shot.
Yeah, but it was a big win for her,
Yeah.
and we really didn't see it coming.
I didn't, obviously.
But going off there. So Dom, basically, to this day, it's like an inside joke.
Yeah.
Like, I'll just bring it
every
up
time
casually.
JoJo fights, or even Jessica, for that matter.
Yeah, just because if Dom's facial reactions are some of the funniest things I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
And that look of defeat and shame he had after that fight, and I couldn't help but just die laughing, which probably made it worse.
Yeah. That hurt.
Yeah, and then we go into our next fight, which was very interesting.
Think about, how did this fight get to Cleveland?
I don't know. It was weird.
Think about it.
Jimmy Rivera, who's now the number 7 as of today, number 7.
He was undefeated at this time.
Number 7 ranked bantamweight now. He's going up against Uriah Faber.
California.
A lot of you maybe don't know much about UFC, but I feel like a lot of people just know who Uriah Faber is.
He's a legend.
Definitely a legend.
Pioneer, especially of that division.
Yeah, of those smaller weight classes, he was like OG.
Yeah.
And this was looked at as
and he was fighting on the second fight of the night.
Yeah, it was his retirement fight.
Yeah, it was.
At the time.
Until he came out. Yeah.
So we noticed probably
it was up and to the left?
It was, from where we were sitting to the right.
Up and to the right. A few rows behind us.
A few rows behind and maybe like a section
over. Yeah.
We just noticed that there are people going crazy for Jimmy Rivera, and I'm like...
We're like, there's no way these are just fans.
That's kind of weird, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, hey.
Well, everybody here was rooting for Uriah Faber.
Yeah, and these people were being obnoxious.
Yeah, they were really loud, going nuts.
It turns out we're sitting by Jimmy Rivera's family.
Yeah, this is Jimmy's whole family. Like 10 of them at least.
And they were annoying as fuck. I'm just gonna say it.
They were supporting their boy.
Yeah, and I can't say I would have done it any different.
Yeah.
But man, were they being just obnoxious.
They were letting everybody. Well, they knew that everyone there was rooting for Uriah, and they were just like going at it.
They were relishing in the victory.
Yeah,
because ultimately Jimmy pretty much dominates.
Yeah, a dominant decision.
Yeah, a point fighting type performance. You know,
still to this day, really, he is.
And
he's a good fighter though.
Coming off that fight, I bet Jimmy Rivera's going to be the next.
Was he
one of the next titles?
Like I said, he was undefeated. So what does he have? Like 23 wins now. But he's lost a lot since then. He was like 20-0 then. I
mean, I think 21 he's only lost like twice.
I think he's like 23-4 now.
Is he?
Yeah. So he was like 21-1 or something. He was on like some insane win streak. I want to say like 20 fights in a row. And so
he only had one loss going into that fight.
Yeah, okay. That makes sense.
Coming off of that fight with Uriah, he would get another win over Thomas Almeida. And then he loses to Marlon Moraes to KO head kick in 30 seconds.
Yep.
Gets a win over John Dodson. Then has lost to Aljamain and Petr Yan.
Yeah, so.
And then he just had a win over Cody Stamann not too
But safe to say, like, this win launched him into the contenders of that
legitimately
division.
thought he was going to be, like, the next guy to win the belt.
Yeah.
And overall, not the most exciting fight. Uriah was pretty much controlled the entire fight.
Yeah.
But that family loved their man.
They did.
Jimmy.
I mean, shout out to Jimmy Rivera's family. You talk about supporters.
Yeah.
That was them. It was just cool, like, we came back and we're like, dude, we just sat next to that dude's whole family.
Yeah.
Like, that was cool.
It was cool, even though at the time I was just like, dude, will these people shut up?
Yeah.
But I get it. You know, it's probably their son, their brothers, you know, whatever, their husband, whoever is there, you know.
So that was awesome.
Yeah, and then we go into our third fight.
We witnessed, and I say this all the time.
I hate that you keep saying it like this.
We witnessed an historical evening of fights.
I hate that you say that about this
But
fight.
it's true. Not just this fight, but the card in general.
You have legitimately told me, you said,
we
witnessed history with this fight.
Yeah. What other guy outside of Brock Lesnar has done this?
The only history we witnessed in this fight was the worst decision the UFC have ever made.
Hey, not money-wise. You know they got pay-per-view buys off of that. Ladies and gentlemen, CM Punk from the WWE, a superstar, made his UFC debut and his pro MMA debut, a 0-0 record, against a rising prospect at the time, Mickey Gall. The best part about the fight was the intros. Do you remember what Mickey came out to?
What was
and
that
still
song?
does this day? Oh, Mickey, you're so fine.
Yeah.
That was awesome. I remember literally looking at you guys and was like, okay, I don't want Mickey to win, but this is kind of badass.
So I forget who it was when we were outside the arena and we were looking at my program. One of the four of us I heard go, dude, I really think CM Punk might have a chance here. And I kind of like heard it, and I went, even me as someone who was the most casual.
I just hope it wasn't me.
I think it might have been, but I'm trying not to.
I hope not.
I think it might have been you, but I'm trying not to say that. But I went, hey, yo, what the fuck? I'm like, CM Punk ain't got a chance in hell. And I'm saying that as someone who was the most casual viewer ever at the time. So the intros happen, and I will say CM Punk coming out to his WWE theme song. As we have mentioned, we're WWE guys going back, so we got very hyped.
I have a cool video of that.
Shit.
But I won't share that either.
But ultimately, I will say his intro made me somewhat go, but can he win this fight?
Right? It's just like he was making everybody a believer.
And then
he literally brought that WWE charisma. Like, they've got the camera on the guy walking out, and he's like...
He's really relishing
in the moment. You know, the fans are going crazy.
Yeah.
So it was cool.
And then 2 minutes in, he's done.
It was done. Yeah.
Submitted.
It was never even close.
Literally, he runs out the gate, gets tackled.
He's slouched over, throws one straight jab, completely misses. Mickey goes right in for the double leg, and
rest is history.
Yeah, that was it.
Some ground and pound ensues.
He lasted a minute.
2 minutes.
He was getting pounded, but then
Punk didn't land a single punch.
Nope.
Very embarrassing.
Yep.
A big mistake by the UFC. I get it. Money wise, like, hey.
Bringing him back again was a bigger mistake, though.
It was. But I hate that you keep bringing up
history. First time in Cleveland. Stipe's
but that fight, I will say
Punk.
that fight won me over for Mickey Gall.
Yeah.
Because even though, for better or worse, and this is something that I might be down the road for one of our hot take episodes, I kind of look at this win as almost, this might have been the worst thing that ever happened in Mickey Gall's career.
Yeah, he's not done much.
Because ultimately he wins and he's kind of blasted off into some sort of...
He had a very big...
He had a name to him after that.
Yeah.
But his pro record was 2-0 or 3-0 after that.
Yeah. And one of them was against CM Punk.
And the other one in the UFC was against Mike Jackson.
Who beat CM Punk.
Who beat CM Punk, but also was pretty awful.
Yeah.
So, ultimately, for Mickey Gall... Once he gets his name to him, then they have to start paying him more money.
Right. And
also that means they're going to be putting him in more high-profile fights.
Yep.
Now, he's had some wins, he's had some losses.
He definitely has the talent.
I just feel like he could have been brought at a more reasonable pace.
Well, this was a guy that was found on Dana White Looking for a Fight, the YouTube series. And they try to build upon those type of people. The people that come from that show or like from the Contender series, Ultimate Fighter... They try and build them around them and make a following, but they didn't do that.
He should have been built slower.
Yeah.
But ultimately, I understand that you beat CM Punk, a guy who had a lot he was the third fight of the main card.
Yeah.
So, regardless of CM Punk's credentials that were non-existent, now he's got a name. You got to start placing him in these high-profile fights. He's now, at the time, he wins that fight, he goes 3-0. As of today, he's 6-3.
It's crazy.
So after that, he gets a win over Sage Northcutt, who kind of
that had a lot of hype around.
Yeah, it was like the co-main of a fight night.
Those were like the two prospects at that point in time in the UFC that everybody.
Well, they were both the first two guys to get the contracts from Dana White looking for a fight.
Sage was like this super chiseled, good-looking dude, super young,
college
smart. Yeah. And Mickey was like that blue-collar New Jersey guy who's also undefeated, super good on the ground. That had a lot of hype around it.
Yeah, so he's pretty much just traded wins and losses since then. His losses have been to Randy Brown, who we've seen now he's been looking good. He did have a loss against... it
was recently, wasn't it?
Vicente Luque.
Yeah.
But a great fight.
Yeah, that's no joke.
Then he's lost to Diego Sanchez. Shout out to Diego, the OG Ultimate Fighter winner. And then he just lost to Mike Perry, who had his girlfriend in his corner.
Yeah.
Wild stuff.
Yes.
But his wins have been against George Sullivan, and Salim Tuavri.
So it's safe to say that his losses... He has good losses, but no good wins.
There's no such thing as a good loss.
Right, but had he beat those guys, you know what I mean? Those are good wins.
That's what I mean.
But he couldn't get it done.
He's being put in these high profile. I mean, the Sage Northcutt fight was good for him.
That's probably the biggest win. But even that guy, he's at one championship now. In his first fight there, his whole face got shattered.
And now he hasn't fought since.
Yeah.
So
shout out Sage Northcutt.
All in all, kind of a weird. The after effects of that fight are very weird, but. In the moment, it just felt like, wow, Mickey Gall, I'm buying in.
It was just the whole aura around that fight happening was just cool.
I mean, I get what you're saying, because I definitely got kind of sucked into it as well after being very hesitant.
Oh, as did 20,000 people.
But, looking back, I cannot say, we witnessed history.
Yeah.
I get it, but I think it's dumb to say that.
Let me live in the moment, okay?
It's not something I want to glorify. That it was
we
were there for CM Punk's first fight, dude.
He's on the poster, okay?
Yeah, I mean,
it's sold pay-per-views.
I look at it like that was Mickey Gall's on that poster.
It made our tickets more expensive.
CM Punk's on that poster because of Mickey Gall.
No, Mickey Gall's on that poster because of CM Punk. Unfortunately,
I know, but
Anyways, we saw CM Punk
So we
fight.
come off that and we're just like, wow, Mickey Gall. Like, we love that guy. Like, he looked great.
Yeah, he looked like a stud.
And, like, that intro, like you were talking about, then the post-fight, he
talked
called
his
out.
talk.
He called out stage. So we were like, yeah, that sounds like a good fight.
Yep, co-main of a fight night.
And then we get to co-main, and we have a big heavyweight fight at the time.
Oh, yeah, this is another part of my historical night. When have you ever seen a fight start like this?
Well, okay, but just hold on.
Here I go again.
Fabricio Verdum, who had just lost the belt to our main event, Stipe, going up against Travis Brown, Mr. Ronda Rousey, who at the time
All right.
was one of the top 5 guys in the heavyweight division, probably.
And Verdum just came off his loss to Stipe, so I think it's hilarious that he was the co-main to Stipe, by the way.
But this was a big heavyweight fight. It was a rematch.
It was a huge fight.
A rematch. The first one Fabricio had won like a couple years before. And we see something just crazy to start the fight.
My man's Fabricio Verdum straight up sprinted full speed across the octagon, jumped, stuck his foot straight out in the air, and kicked Travis Brown in the face.
Yeah, if you ever played Mortal Kombat,
that's exactly what it looked like.
Who is it? Is it the Johnny Cage kick? Isn't that, or is it
no,
the
I don't
Liu
know
Kang?
the moves.
If you ever played Mortal Kombat, that's what it reminded me of. Something from that game. Like you pressed A, B, down, B.
Yeah, Fabricio's pushing buttons on that controller that don't even exist.
Like he had the cheat code book.
The whole arena went, whoa! I remember everybody just went nuts, dude.
And then
he kicked the shit out of Travis.
And the rest of the fight was really weird. Because you have that moment where Travis hurts his hand.
Yeah, no kidding.
And he calls timeout. Which I want to be clear.
Travis.
I want to be clear. You cannot call timeout.
For anyone new to the sport of MMA, in the UFC, you're not allowed to call a timeout in the middle of a fight.
But he did. And the ref granted it to him. And so it ended up being a really...
Who was the ref?
I don't remember, but...
Wow.
It ended up being a very weird fight.
It was an awkward fight.
Not
from
a
the
very
that
good,
kick was
not
started.
a very good fight after the kick. Kind of wish the kick would have just ended it all, but
that would have been crazy.
But then you see
Jorge's knee would not be.
So then people start booing this co-main because it ends up not being a great fight.
Yeah,
Fabricio gets on the mic, but you can't hear him.
But
he's
so
trying
loud.
to tell. He's trying to like give a shout out to. Some sort of like
some close friend passed away,
like committed
or something.
suicide or something, like something very serious.
Yeah, he was.
Meanwhile, we're all just booing him, going, "You suck" and stuff.
I wonder what the interview sounded like on the UFC's broadcast.
Probably didn't make us look very good.
Yeah, that's true too.
Yeah, but you couldn't hear him. Now, what's forgotten about post-fight is Travis Brown's coach, Edmund Tarverdian. Tries to pick a fight with Fabricio.
This was like from top to bottom the weirdest shit I've ever seen in a fight. It's crazy.
So he tries to come at Fabricio, and Fabricio throws a front kick at him.
Yeah, he tries to fight Travis Brown's coach.
I mean, that was because Tarverdian charged at him basically, or was jawing at him.
Dude.
And it ends up being a very weird co-main. So this main event has a lot riding on it.
Yes.
I mean, sure, we've had a lot of fun, and but if you really look at it, this main card was kind of weird.
Yeah, it was weird.
So then, main event time. Alistair Overeem comes out, and I'm nervous.
You can't even hear his music.
Overeem,
how many boos were in that arena?
Overeem is terrifying.
Yeah, he still is.
Still is. I don't care how many times that guy gets knocked out. He will always be terrifying.
This is true.
He might not be Ubereem anymore.
Yeah.
But he's still big.
Yeah. Ain't small.
He machine.
Yeah.
He comes out, and we're like, all right, let's go. Stipe time. And all of a sudden...
the lights go out.
The Machine Gun Kelly Classic.
Now, if you don't know, MGK, Machine Gun Kelly, is also from Cleveland. Stipe plays his music every time that he comes out.
So Till I Die starts playing.
It's all about Cleveland, that song.
Hey, I'll admit it, I love me some Machine Gun Kelly, especially at this time. So that song starts playing. We all go fucking nuts.
I think they even talked about it on the broadcast multiple times how great our crowd was there.
Yeah.
Which is cool.
Yeah.
That's something that we were a part of.
So that place goes.
You could not
electric.
hear anything.
And
You could barely hear the
and
music.
Stipe comes out like he's going to his 9 to 5.
Yeah, calm as could be. He
Yeah.
knew he was going to win that fight.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
So we're already just like amped.
This is when
We're at a
this
10.
is when my heart attack started. I
Yeah.
think.
And the fight is going on.
And
Overeem
lands this straight right.
and it literally
Drops Stipe.
and we go, and the whole crowd goes silent.
You could have heard a pin drop. It went from the loudest thing I've ever been a part of to
Yeah.
silence.
Then he charges at Stipe and gets him in a guillotine. And
You
we're
could,
and we're like, no,
the tension in that
Please.
arena.
not
oh,
like
dude.
this, not like this. You know?
Crazy.
I'm like, please God, not like this.
And he sets in the guillotine. It was in.
it was in.
Stipe said, "Nope, not in front of my home crowd."
Overeem felt the tap,
Yeah,
but that's for later.
that's for later.
But Stipe gets out of it.
That's another part of history why
Ends
I'll
up-
get into that too.
Ends up knocking out Overeem.
In what was a UFC video game esque style knockout.
Yeah, because Overeem looked like he was still there, just getting hit, and then all of a sudden one punch.
And Stipe was in full guard. Like, you don't see people in full guard.
He was standing though.
Like a stacked full guard.
Yeah.
And then he lands his one shot, and you kind of see Alistair's head bounce. So Stipe gets on his knees, and boom, 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 right hand after right hand. Out cold. Asleep on the canvas was Overeem. And still.
And still.
So,
So
we thought the entrance was loud for Stipe.
when he won, that place.
I thought the building was going to collapse.
So we're all just like out of breath almost, like sweating. We're going crazy. He gets on the mic, screams, "OH!" Everybody.
20,000
screams.
people back. IO! Oh my God.
Yeah.
I just got chills.
And he does it again and
He
again.
did it like 3 or 4 times.
And Rogan's just like, holy shit. He's like, Cleveland loves you, Stipe.
Yeah.
And we're just at a high.
Eh.
So it's time to leave. So we're walking out. We're just like,
The whole arena
we're like,
is
that
just
was
going
amazing.
nuts.
We can't wait to
Like,
come
we're
back.
high-fiving hundreds of random people as
Yeah.
we walk down the street.
We're like, Stipe, you
Yeah,
did it.
dude. Like, it
And we're
was
just
crazy.
high-fiving. And like, we're walking out of the stadium and people are yelling,
OH!
And
Yeah,
we're
just like
going,
random people. That's what's so cool about like sports in general, right? It's this one common theme or event or game.
I think it's a
thousands of people
Here's what it's a one common
tune
allegiance.
in. Yeah,
There's something that you have in common with
for
all
like
these
for
people.
those few hours at this time, no one had a worry in the world, and you were all there for one common thing.
Yep.
And for us, 20,000 people gathered to watch the guy from Ohio, the blue-collar firefighter, defend his belt for the first time in front of his home state. And,
His home city.
yeah, and he did it.
He did it. So
It
we're
was
walking
crazy.
back to the car. We're still just going nuts.
Nuts.
So hyped. And it's late, and we have to drive 2
2
hours
hours back.
back to BG. So we get to the car in the parking garage, and
Parking garage is filled.
so we're
with
not getting
people.
out for a while.
It took an hour at least to get out of there.
Well, Dom starts having some sort of episode.
I think I had just...
I call it
don't
a
know.
panic attack,
I think it was a panic attack.
but it was interesting.
It was from the time that Stipe won. Really, it was probably before that. It was probably started by the time he walked out to come into the octagon,
Yeah.
all the way to the end of the fight. Because it was nonstop adrenaline, yelling, screaming, cheering. I don't even know. I don't know what happened to my body.
Yeah, and me, Tommy, and Nick, like I'm in the front seat, and those two are in the back, and you're driving.
Yeah.
We get in the car, and the three of us are like talking, like, "Oh my god, that was amazing!" Whatever we're talking about,
Yeah.
and like you keep throwing comments in, like, "I can't feel my hands,"
Yeah,
and stuff, or
yeah.
like, or you're like, "I can't breathe,
drive,"
I
yeah.
can't breathe, I can't drive," and like we're not even acknowledging what you're saying. We just keep talking, so.
That's so true, actually.
So we're just like, oh my god, yeah, and you're like, my hands are gone. You're like, I can't feel them.
Yeah.
You're like, why is my face going white? And we're just like, yeah, that's crazy. But anyways, So
This is so true,
so,
though.
so
I
eventually,
got out of the car.
so eventually, you get out of the car, and I'm like, the fuck is he doing? I'm like, we gotta
I
go.
never even started the car. I don't
Oh
think.
yeah, but you get out. You're just like, I'm out of here.
I opened the trunk and I
Yeah.
like sat on my
So then,
bed of my
so
trunk.
we're like, oh, what the fuck is he doing?
so you guys get out.
we get out, and we walk over, and you're just like, and I'm like, what's your fucking problem, dude? I'm like, are you all right? And you're like, I'm seeing blurry vision right now. You're like, why are there two of you guys? And I'm like, huh? What the hell are you talking about? I'm like, did you smoke something on our way out
I'm
here?
gonna cry, bro.
So,
Oh, I think it was a panic attack.
and I'm pretty sure Tommy slapped you in the face.
Yeah, I think he did.
You're like, I need someone to slap me. And that, before you even said me, like, you're like, I need someone to smack. Tommy just smacks you. And you're like, all right, I feel better.
I just start taking deep breaths.
Yeah.
And like, okay.
And I'm like, Dom, you dramatic ass. Like, get in the car. So we got to go. And you're like, no feeling. You're like, me hands.
I'm not driving.
You're like, I can't drive. You're
Now,
like,
granted,
and then you go.
we weren't getting out of that parking garage anyway.
Yeah, and you go, all right, like,
Let's just
we'll
sit
go.
here.
You're like, okay, we'll leave.
Yeah.
But whichever one of you is, like, the most awake, I want to sit up front
Yeah.
in case.
Well, here comes Noah.
So I'm like, well, yeah, I'm awake. I'm like, I'll sleep up. Or,
Yes.
I'll sit up front.
Yeah, well, you were asleep on the highway.
20
as soon as
minutes
we got on
later,
the
I
highway.
fell asleep.
Yeah, he was
out
gone.
for the rest of the drive.
And then, of course, Tommy and Nick also fall asleep. So
Yeah.
here I am, fresh off of a panic attack.
Yeah.
I'm feeling better, obviously. I'm fine now. I'm driving, but I was like, all right. I'm driving through, like, open fields. There's,
Yeah.
like, nothing on the
Yeah.
drive back home. But we made it.
We made it.
I was by myself, just talking to myself the whole drive.
And we were expecting Tommy and Nick to stay with us again.
Yeah, it was like 4 in the morning when we got home.
It was crazy late. And Nick was playing football at a smaller college
Yep.
back towards, like, closer
Well,
to
and
the
it was
work
his bye that weekend. That's why he was
Yeah.
able to go with
Yeah.
us.
So,
But he was like super stressed that he would get in
because
trouble.
they're very strict about being away.
Yeah.
So he starts freaking out. And Tommy,
now it's time for Nick's panic
So now
attack.
Nick starts having a panic attack, and I'm like, all right, I'm going to fucking sleep on the hard floor per usual.
If you guys are staying, okay, it's fine.
Yeah. So then they just decide to leave,
At 4 in the morning.
and Tommy's
And do
like,
a 2.5
well, Tommy
hour
has to
drive
go
home.
with them because he has to take Tommy back home.
Yeah.
So
So they get breakfast at McDonald's when they hit the highway. I'm pretty sure.
yeah.
And then Tommy promises to stay awake with Nick, I think, and Tommy falls asleep with
So,
Nick on the way home. And we go back to our dorm. And
sweat our asses off.
do you remember those girls that were coming back from like a party that night at the same time as us, and we were like yelling at each other and all that?
What?
Okay, never mind. That was a thing.
What'd they say?
I don't know. They were just like yelling at us and saying hi because we like got back at the same time. And anyway, it's not part of the story. It's just I'm trying to relive every moment. As all.
Did you enjoy it?
Saying hi to girls? Sure, it was fine. Yeah.
I mean, did it make you happy?
Okay, I guess it didn't need to come up. No, I get it. I was just, again, bringing up every moment is all.
So yeah, that's pretty much the end there. And all in all, like, we kind of woke up the next day and it was like, damn, we gotta go to class tomorrow.
Yeah, we probably didn't.
Actually,
do shit that
I'm pretty
day.
sure I was like, I think I've earned a couple days. So I don't think I went to class for like 2 days. But that's not something
It's college.
Yeah, maybe just one day.
We've all been there.
But all in all,
Like,
what an experience, right?
If anybody listening ever gets a chance to go to a live UFC event, don't get me wrong, like I think it definitely added to the experience that Stipe was defending the title, you know, from Ohio and all that stuff. But like, again, I've mentioned this before, and this is not tooting my own horn. I think it's just crediting how amazing a UFC event is.
Yeah.
I've been fortunate enough to be at one Super Bowl in my lifetime. And I know, like, maybe it's because I didn't root on a team during the game or whatever, and I was just there. But this UFC 203 was the best from the time we left our apartment our dorm stressing about the storm and our room getting ruined, to the time I got done having a panic attack and drove 2 hours back home in pitch black at 4 in the morning.
Yes.
It was one of the best days of my life and the best sporting event I've ever been to.
Yeah, and it was really like just a bro moment for the four of us. It was like we all got to share that, and we've all kind of went on our different paths in life and stuff, but we keep in decent touch, I would say. I mean, me and you do, but
yeah,
I keep in decent touch with those guys, but
again,
we'll always have that day that like we shared.
We'll never forget that the rest of our lives.
Yeah.
Like, shout out Nick, shout out to Tommy.
Yeah.
Hope you guys listened and hope you guys enjoyed this.
Yeah, and all in all, like that was it. And I mean, we really just kind of had to go back to, I don't know if it was after that event or before it when I got the fight pass, but I know after that I was just watching old fights forever, man. I mean, I bought a year pass, and I my goal was to watch every single pay-per-view from UFC 1 to, at the time, was UFC 203.
And here you are 4 years later.
4 years later, I've done it, and I'm still doing it. So, needless to say, that event was very crucial in me, like, continuing to grow my love and dedication to the sport, I would say.
Like, you can almost just think, like, what if we would have never went to that event? Like, would we be on this podcast now?
I'm someone who, like, you could ask my mom. She always, like, makes fun of me for it. I'm someone who very much goes through phases. A lot of people do, but mine are very extreme, where it's like I get into something and I'm like 110% in, but then it'll phase out so quickly. Like a couple weeks later, I'll just be completely done with it. There's no gradual decline. You know what I mean? So with the UFC, that had the potential to be something like that, because I'd done that time and time again. But I think that event really helped keep me interested and just dedicated.
Like, would we be recording this podcast right now
if not for that event? It's tough to say.
Like, it's just, that was such a special day.
Yeah.
In so many different, like, aspects.
Yeah, and all four of our lives. To you for being the one that, like, was like, we need to go. You were basically making us, like, you were looking up everything about tickets, and like, you're like, yeah, we'll just drive there and drive back. Like, we won't need to stay.
Well, I mean, here we are 4 years later, and they haven't been back since.
Yeah.
There was supposed to be one event, right, in Columbus in March.
Which,
we had tickets. We were going to go.
The main event was going to be Ngannou versus Rosenstruik.
And then
that fight ended up happening at 249. You saw how that fight went.
And
Cody Garbrandt versus the Sun Sal. And you saw how that fight went at UFC 250. So
we would have got to see all that at Columbus. It was a fight night, but still would have been awesome, right?
Yeah.
But unfortunately, with everything going on in the world and COVID, it got canceled.
And
which sucks.
Who knows when we'll start having fans back?
Like, who's to say when we'll ever get to experience an event like that in the near future?
Yeah.
Which sucks.
Hopefully,
but like,
sooner rather than later. I definitely plan on going to another one when they allow.
Yeah, whether it's in Ohio or not. Yeah. Like, that proved to us.
I mean, one of my bucket list items is to see a huge fight in Vegas.
Yeah. So, it's exciting. Again, if anybody ever gets the chance when fans are back in the arenas, even if you're like the most casual or not even a UFC fan but want to have a great time with friends, dude.
No better
guys, gals, it don't matter. It was so fun.
Yeah, I mean, I can't say I've been to a Super Bowl, but I've been to a few Bengals games. I've been to a bunch of Reds games.
Ohio State.
Yeah,
I mean, it doesn't get much bigger than that. I went to the Ohio State blackout game with shout out to JP. Yeah.
Went there with him when they when they played Penn State in the blackout game. Like, that was a huge game at that time. Like, that game was awesome.
I mean, in sports, it doesn't get much bigger than a Buckeyes game. So,
So it was, needless to say, like, this event meant, like, the fact that it blew them all out.
Yeah, not even close. And
like,
the fan expo,
the closest second is definitely that Buckeye game, but I mean, it was just the atmosphere was just unparalleled.
Yeah, it was awesome.
So that's pretty much it. So,
I hope everybody enjoyed this.
I hope they did. I feel like we weren't really, like, we were kind of just gonna dive into it.
Yeah.
And we weren't really.
We
really didn't know how long it would go. Didn't know what we would how far long we would talk about stuff. Like, we were just like, we'll just do it.
A great breakdown of the day, and
we'll listen back and see. But I think we did pretty well.
Yeah.
Like, putting the whole story together.
I think we hit every detail.
Yeah, I think
like
we did.
really did. So
Dom, tell the people where they can find you on social media.
me personally, it's going to be DSalee14 on Twitter and Instagram. As always, follow our podcast Instagram at BelowAverageJoes_podcast.
And you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at ntbaker_. So for the rest of the week, this Friday,
We got a fun recap, a fight night recap, preview. Sorry,
Fight night preview.
we just had a recap on Monday. If you haven't listened to it, go tune in.
Sure.
Preview coming on Friday for another fight night.
This Friday we're previewing UFC Vegas 8.
Lionheart's back.
Anthony Lionheart Smith going up against Alexander Rakic, and then co-main Ruthless
Robbie Lawler.
going up against Neil Magny. I'm very excited to break that one down.
That's a fun fight night.
Yeah, so tune in for that, and then Monday we'll be doing our recap of that same fight night. So
Absolutely.
big things in the future, but with that, we're out, and we'll see y'all on Friday.